just months after providing the brutal Chinese communistic regime with a censorship tool intended to keep that nation's nearly 1.4 billion citizens as subject slaves. The American-based social media giant Facebook has agreed to aid Pakistan in finding secret Christians, thousands of whom could then be put to death for blasphemy against that nation's Muslim faith. Facebook is a for-profit American company and the largest social media site in the world, having nearly 1.9 active monthly users of the world's total population of 7.4 billion, but whose secret automated ranking process shapes the social lives of nearly 1/5 of the globe. Yet with no one being able to fully understand its long-term implications, as it's only existed for 13 years, with more people using Facebook than there are citizens of any country on Earth. This social media site accurately notes all of its users' political and religious affiliations, thus giving enormous power to its 32-year-old leader, Mark Zuckerberg, who was never elected to any public office, yet holds in his hands the power of life and death over millions of his users by his making decisions that affect all of their lives. Grave concerns about Facebook were voiced in the MOFA this week, when Pakistan, whose 195.7 million population contains over 2.5 million Christians, announced that a delegation of this American social media company's executives were soon to meet with the government to devise ways to block and remove blasphemous content, and that, when fully implemented, will silence Christianity in this nation forever, and led to the deaths of many of these religious believers who will not forsake their faith. To the motivation of Facebook in its sentencing its own Christian faith users to enslavement and death, like it has done in China and now Pakistan, is due to its worshipping at the altar of Mammon at the expense of its unsuspecting users, and as recently evidenced by its using accounting tricks to gain a staggering $1 billion in extra wealth by avoiding its paying the taxes that it owed. In one grave commentary about giant companies like Facebook who avoid paying taxes, the globally respected business consultant Gerald Celente notes that they are robbing the population by destroying school systems, healthcare systems and transportation systems too, and who further warned, they are doing terrible harm. It is not a victimless crime. The people are the victims. Let's get this straight. It is a neo-feudal society. You have different rules for the economic elite and the political nobility. So when they don't pay taxes, or they cheat the people out of money, like too big to fail, no one goes to jail for their crimes. Equally concerning to the MOFA about Facebook, is the unprecedented power it has over the news it manipulates through its secret algorithm, feared by all the US mainstream media who remain silent lest they be destroyed, and has been described as, the algorithm's viral power has turned the media industry upside down, propelling startups like BuzzFeed and Vox to national prominence while 100-year-old newspapers wither and die. It fueled the stratospheric rise of billion-dollar companies like Zynga and Living Social, only to suck the helium from them a year or two later with a few adjustments to its code, leaving behind empty-pocketed investors and laid-off workers. Facebook's newsfeed algorithm can be tweaked to make us happy or sad. It can expose us to new and challenging ideas or insulate us in ideological bubbles. With Facebook clearly manipulating its news feeds to create ideological bubbles that is edging the US ever closer towards open civil war, it has joined with Google's plan to put listening devices into every home, Twitter's growing censorship, and YouTube's crackdown on dissent to create an America where it is now said that the surveillance state is almost ubiquitous, and it has been made so through the efforts of our own complacencies. To the grave dangers of Facebook and its other tech giant allies, creating an American surveillance population unable to think for itself anymore, is evidenced by the Russian hysteria witch hunt presently sweeping their nation, whose origins claiming that Russia hacked their election has been exposed as a complete and total lie, not being told to the American people by Facebook, or any other of these tech giant manipulators, is that the Democratic Party forbade the FBI to examine their computers that they claimed Russia had hacked, choosing, instead, to use a private company named CrowdStrike to determine who broke into their systems, but who, shortly after it was proved that they lied about Russia, then changed their report again, with Facebook refusing to allow the American people to know that CrowdStrike made up the evidence that Russia hacked their election, and in order to give the Democratic Party the excuse to destroy President Donald Trump, they're failing to object to the massive military deployments being made by their forces to the very doorstep of Russia, and that unless the US and its allies back down from, the Federation is now warning will lead to nuclear war. So close, in fact, as total war nearing between the West and Russia. Just yesterday, after Russian military commanders warned that American warships in the Black and Baltic Seas were now ready to strike the very heartland of Russia, President Putin was forced to make an emergency mass deployment of the Federation's most feared ICBM atomic-armed missiles, and that should they be ordered launched, would obliterate all of the United States. As to how near total war, in fact, may actually be between Russia and US due to Facebook manipulation of the American people, maybe as soon as this fall when Zapad 2017 begins, and that will see over 100,000 Russian military forces take up arms at the same time as military drills by Western military forces in Sweden, across the Baltic Sea, will see NATO at full strength, and that the smallest miscalculation, by either side, could very likely start World War III.